parliamentary vote after his alliance suffered a big defeat by the populist right in European Union elections. Mr. Macron said he couldn't ignore the result, and dissolving Parliament was an act of trust in the friendship.
I am Viktor Orban, the current but soon-to-be permanent President of the European Union, who will give a speech to you. Please, Ursula, bring the microphone closer. Yes, thank you. He is my employee and helps me, and the point is that during our time, under our government, everything has changed. We still remember the good old days when the Turks came to Hungary with an army and they ran away and ran home. We doused them with pitch. It's not like that anymore. They've learned to behave. So at most they get chocolate glaze on a restaurant cake. President Erdogan has already indicated in a letter that he would like to watch the Aga Castle and pay the travel expenses and the entrance fee. It's not like Russia just jumps in with a couple of tanks and rules here, forcing us to feed all the people and children. We told them to go home and they went. And we are the only ones who have the heart to buy the oil from him, in the middle of the great difficulty, right? We were the only ones with the Ukrainians, who were decent. It is true that we do not want to give them food, nor for the war, but we have the heart that the war can be ended anyway, that the Ukrainians are dying of hunger, and we will stop all our funding. We were the first to lend a helping hand to France, where President Emmanuel Macron has been struggling for years to order the current Olympics in Paris, so that he could pay the arrears on the electricity bill of the train company, who, in case of doubt, beg on the trains, but cannot get plastic toilet seats. We made it possible for them. Hungarians made it possible. Germans who practically still push small tanks at home. The children are like that they are a superior race and that they can rule the world. That's why we pack the 20 grams of chocolate in a 5x bigger box. We made a playhouse for them. Italy is always the Italians, where the mafia came to me from to ask, and we never gave it to them. Because of this, 30% of their country became a migrant. China turned to us with the request that they are in a very big economic trouble. There is only one serving on the plate in the restaurant. The chopsticks are 3 times as heavy, and no retailers could sell small Chinese cars here. We said it's fine, the market is opening up for them, and I felt sorry for them. The European Union, since we set foot in the European Union, there has been silence and peace. Whoever is making noise, I can shut him up. We were close friends with the President of the United States, although we already wanted to put Joe Biden under guardianship, and Donald Trump also has problems. That they don't quite understand that the power of the world leader is Hungary, and the United States was sometime 500 years ago. But they are slowly catching on, so we didn't take Joe Biden under guardianship as the guitarist, who the priests, who will attend character Tonito classes for the preservation of physical integrity. Won't give him food, but we let him because practically he doesn't do much harm to anyone anymore. Joe Biden, neither the guitarist, the latter is not allowed to eat. The former is not allowed to give a speech. Trump presidents are allowed to speak loudly, because the sleeping grey matter will wake up. Our ideology is everywhere. The world has become more beautiful. Now Ursula von der Leyen would say a few words as soon as she finds her wig.
I'm Ursula von der Leyen, the former head of the European Union, and this watercolor is that I sweated a bit. My hair has turned brown in places, so it's not completely blonde anymore. So today's speech is because 88% of the Parliament will not laugh. The point is, that we want to strengthen relations with countries outside the EU. For example, Switzerland and their police don't deal with criminals as they used to because they were always dealing with them. Bring the lead home to cast lead for fishing the next day. And thus the Swiss police captain banned the pursuit of the mafia, which is full of the same country that specializes in robbing old people on trains and punishing the victims of crime. Which is not entirely far from the basic ideals of the European Union. But a lot of people complained that in this small closed kingdom that was accidentally published as North Korea. But in fact it is Switzerland. What kind of things are like this? I am constantly being bullied by the media. That is why I am asking you to change it. Rob babies under 1 year old. They can get the pacifier that fits well in their mouth and they can't even complain.
Charles Michel. Go.
My name is Charles Michel, and finally, I would like to say a few words to you at today's meeting that sometimes my fellow representatives make our self-sacrificing work bitter because of their stupid selfish interests. I was tearing my hair out from some of these terrible comments, and how many such comments are there? Look at my head, how many hairs are left? So it's terrible. But I thank the member states for making it possible to open and make the state offices where the mentally disabled got jobs. This program was quite successful, as 90% of them became like this. Well done Europe, it has changed. It has become the kind of Europe I lived in. Practically my parents had already graduated from school, but my environment for the most part did not. This is how we feel good. This is the kind of Europe we expected. This is the kind of Europe we want to live in. It's also good that now there are social organizations that help themselves. They collect the money for poor people, and then spend it on themselves as a salary, and the poor person also gets a piece of bread out of the many billions. Thank the church. The church, which is an organization that we support, because they also want to live without work, the money, the income, the peppers, tomatoes, bread, it all comes from heaven. We all know and the church loves us. We love the church. The perception of 80% of the priests there has already changed. They used to give food to the poor, but not anymore. The money is being wrested from the hands of the faithful, from the hands of old women, and they spend it on themselves, buy sports cars and expand their repertoire. I think that it's really good. And we wanted a Europe like this, with hard work that often made me sweat, but we achieved it. A Europe where a guitar player's income is 400 euros, a cleaning lady 3,000, a policeman 9,000 euros. It covers a real value system, a real myth, an example for the world to follow. Without us, there would never have been a Russian-Ukrainian war. There would never have been starvation and misery for the poor, and 120 million of Europe's 540 million homeless people, as well as assassinations against women. Because we gave free space to the thoughts of the best funded people. Without us, neither a prostitute nor a prostitute could be sold to Europe, because the outside and inside are not important to us. Only ideology. So I raise my glass to Europe, to its new leader, long live Viktor Orban.